The soldier has 3 shotguns, of which all 3 are viable in casual as well as competitive settings depending on what kind of style you and your team are going for. For this video, I want to talk about my favorite, the reserve shooter. The reserve shooter used to be the king of a few things, but mostly burst damage and switch speed. The crown of the latter now going to the panic attack as of the Blue Moon update, where switching to it seems almost instant. The reserve shooter does still come out in a timely manner compared to stock and most weapons for that matter. But if that's all you care about, the panic attack now fills that role much better. So if my favorite shotgun doesn't have that crown, the crown of burst damage should be great, right? And to that I say, yes. But let me talk about the downside first. The reserve shooter puts you at a disadvantage in longer fights since the maximum magazine size is reduced from 6 to 4, of which, depending on how scrappy a team fight is, could be completely used up multiple times. In casual mode, this is far more prevalent due to how chaotic the setting is, so you can be gunned down by 6 people at the same time as you're frantically trying to reload shells to survive. Then in competitive, if you're using a reserve shooter to hold or push last, depending on the map, there could be little to no blast jumping done by the other team, so having it would be a downgrade compared to Soldier's other options to hold last. But yeah, that's about it for the downside, and it's not that bad to be frank. So let's get on to what makes it good. The burst damage. The reserve shooter can do up to 109 damage per shot, which isn't a whole lot more than the shotgun, and if that was it, it wouldn't be worth it. The real upside of the extra damage is that there isn't fall off on it. In case you didn't know, when you deal a mini crit, damage ramp up is taken into consideration, but not fall off. So with the reserve shooter, if your aim is true, you can be more effective when juggling players with rockets if they're trying to surf away due to the damage consistency of your pellets. Obviously, random bullet spread puts a wrench in this argument, but in competitive, where random bullet spread doesn't exist, it's great. To top it off, hearing the mini crit sound when you land a shot after popping someone in the air is so satisfying. It's an endorphin release in my brain that I never want to go away. So yeah, the reserve shooter is a great weapon and it's perfect and everyone should use it, right? Well, this is where I have to go into how the weapon is a bit too strong at the moment. The reserve shooter is really strong in 6s when defending, and it's mostly fine in casual mode. The reason for this is that in casual mode, there aren't a lot of blast jumping players around. There aren't many demos in general. Soldier is popular, but much of the player base isn't adept at rocket jumping. Then, for Pyro, most people don't equip the thermal thruster. On top of that, you're basically guaranteed to fight every class in the game, where the reserve shooter just does its intended purpose, to combo with the rocket launcher. Then, while fighting those 3 classes, while they're blast jumping, you can deny or screw up their jumps at a long range away with basically no repercussions. You don't even have to think about it, since there's no downside to doing so. In 6s, generally speaking, you have 2 soldiers and a demo, and depending on future balance changes, it's possible that the Pyro could be buffed into being a generalist and be on that list as well. With that said, in 6s, you have a few times where blast jumping is essentially guaranteed, even if the other team knows you have the reserve shooter equipped, those being A, during the rollout to get to mid, or B, when you're holding a point and the other team has to bomb a player into you to hopefully force your medic into using their Uber. The first situation happens every round of every game. Then the second happens almost every round of every game if it's not a roll. In the second, the other team wouldn't be able to bomb your medic really at all, which denying those bombs is currently the scout's job. So not only does the soldier get a strong weapon against half of the other team, that would also likely allow his team scouts to play far more aggressively, all while not really having to worry about dropping his medic. It's a really strong weapon that both teams would use all the time when defending. That is, if it was allowed. The reserve shooter is currently banned in 6s. It's hard to counter and it wouldn't be fun to play against. That being said, you are giving up the mobility that the gunboats give you, as with any secondary that Soldier has. So, what do I propose that's going to radically change the weapon? Just make it so it only mini-crits when you or your teammates knock people into the air. That's basically it. That small change shouldn't change how the weapon is played in pubs, except that you won't be able to do this anymore.
Oh, I'm evil.
But you'll still be able to pop people into the air as you used to and get that same endorphin hit. And your teammates will still be able to help you. You just won't get free damage on players that are doing more advanced movement, which I think is totally fair.
Whoa, guys, look
look at Michael WF. He has the team captain, which means he has to tell us what to do. What do we do, Michael? Let us know. Tell us. Michael, what do we do? Michael! Guess we're all killing ourselves.
We all gotta kill ourselves.
Hey, I just joined the game. We killing ourselves?
Yeah, well, that's what Michael said to do.
Yeah.
He has the team captain. He's
Suicide
supposed to tell us
party.
what to do. It looks like we're just killing ourselves.